It's a full squad today, and when I say a full squad, we are welcoming Uncle Rapson, who was abroad last week. Uncle Rapson, welcome. Before I even open the show, welcome. It's good to have you back on set, and hopefully you enjoyed the coverage that you went to cover last week. But before Uncle Rapson comes in, welcome to Off the Pitch, the show that gives you nothing but the best in terms of sports highlights. And I'm your host, Amos, aka Amore, and like I said, I'm not alone. It's a full house today. I'm joined by Uncle Rapson. Uncle Rapson, welcome back.
It's always a pleasure to be back on the show, and I've been absent for the last 2 weeks, and it paid off. Great insights of the information that we found across the Copper Belt and back in Osaka, and it's always a pleasure to be here, and we look forward to this great show. And very, very good afternoon to all of you viewers out there, and we'll give you nothing but the best news that you ever wish for.
To my far left is Augustine. Augustine, welcome.
Thank you very much for having me. It's good to be back on the show. As you can see, I'm much better than Red Arrows, Ghana, and Napsa Stars, who are really struggling in the Super League this season. We just hope to have an exciting show. It's good to have Uncle Rapson back, and would like to congratulate him on his 16 years anniversary.
Oh yeah, he wasn't on set that day.
His achievement, yes. He leads, we follow.
No, much appreciated. Thanks a lot.
And before we kick the ball rolling, to everyone who is watching us, you can also watch us live. That's on Facebook. Just follow our Facebook page, which is Camnet. Like it, and you'll be able to watch us live. And before we get into much details, Uncle Rapson, I think I'll start with you. Let's look at the Zambia-Namibia game that was played. The one that ended in an all draw.
It was always going to be a difficult match, because every team that wants that is leaving the international scene, the international stage at that particular level, they don't want to get out of the tournament embarrassingly so. So I always expected Namibia to be very difficult team to beat, and I think we also the couple of chances that we lost. We had chances that found Chabula, Zakaria Chilongoshi. We had a couple of chances where we could have buried the game, and we could have probably avoided playing against Morocco in the quarterfinals. But as usual, for me, Kelvin Muba Kampamba hasn't found his feet at the tournament. He's been given every game to start, but practically speaking, the contribution that he has made to the squad, of course, he's a very important player, but the type of contribution that he has made to the team at the tournament is not very expectant of what the rest of the fans want. So we only hope that the game against, for me, the most important thing is our defense. Our defense has played exceptionally well from the time they arrived in Cameroon, and it's a squad that has been growing from strength to strength in each game. And for me, the defense pair of Adrian Chama and Clement Mlanshi and Zakaria Chilongoshi, Benedict Chepeshis, on and off, and I think for me we stand a very good chance. The game against Namibia, I could see that the problem that we have is probably in the final third, because when we start building up from the back, the strength in the back, we saw two of our defenders getting yellow cards in that match. It's because of the type of work they were putting in the team on that particular day, and to get yellow cards and defend, and the game ends in a goalless when your strikers are busy shooting off target and they are missing, it simply means that we have a very blunt striking force. And I'm only hoping that we make a couple of changes before we meet Morocco tomorrow, and it's not going to be an easy game. Before we go to the Morocco game, I think in that game we saw Spencer doing what he knows to do the best. We saw Friday Samu coming in and maybe trying to get his aerial ball towards the end of the game, but clearly for me we lack a striking force that can make a difference And if we are going to play defensively the way we have been playing, by the way, and remember that they are only out of the teams that are playing at the tournament, only 3 teams managed to win 2 games in the group stages. The rest were 1 win, 2 draws. That is a trend which is there. But for me, Morocco is very, very high scoring. It's a very, very high scoring team. They push in an average of 2 goals in every game, and to meet such a team when you've got a very blunt striking force, we can only thank our defense for being very consistent from the time the tournament started.
Augustine, what's your take on it, the Zambia-Namibia game?
I think to me it was a poor showing by the Copper Bullets, as Janko Robson has echoed. I think the striking force leaves an awful lot to be desired, because we cannot play bottom side like Namibia and have 0 shots on target. I think it was very, very much disappointing. If you look at the positives that you can only pick from Zambia's tournament so far, it's the defensive side. We have always been struggling defensively as Polo Polo, but you can see at the Chan tournament we are very, very solid at the back. We are not conceding goals, we are not giving easy chances to the oppositions. You can see that they are protecting the goalkeeper very, very well. I think the back 4 and the front, the 2 in front of them in Pokatem and Kelvin Kapumbu are doing a very, very good job to try and keep a clean sheet. Because if you do not lose a football match, if you do not concede the goal, you cannot lose a football match. That's something that Minshew has firstly started working on. Have a solid defense, and then have a midfield that works, and then have some attacking outlets like through Colin Sikombe, who has been probably one of the best players at the tournament. But we are lacking in front of goal in terms of the finishers. In Emmanuel Chabula, we've tried Moses Piri. Friday Sam came in, I think, seconds to the end of the match. Yes, we've seen live play from Amit Chamende. He's always coming in. When he comes in as a super sub, is very, very quick going forward. He produces, gives Zambia's that opportunity to try and use the width. Alongside Spencer Saut, who's been coming in as an impact player, doing very, very well. I think the most disappointing player so far is Kelvin Kambamba Mwanga. Has been pretty poor. I know the games that he has played, and I've noticed that our build-up play is very, very slow. I think the way we pass the ball and the way we transition from defense to attack is something which Mitch needs to work with, to work on, because it's just very slow, and teams can dictate what you are trying to do and to close the spaces which you are trying to work with. And I think the only bad part of playing Clement Mwape at right back ahead of Benedict Chepesh and Kondwan Chiwon is that he's not giving enough going forward. He's solid at the back defensively, but going forward he's not giving us anything. You can see that when Zakaria Chilongo on the left flank, he's putting in dangerous crosses that the likes of Spencer Sautu, Kelvin Mwanga, Emmanuel Chabula can try to attack. And Colin Sikombe is that guy who always links Zambia from link the midfield and the attack. If Sikombe is closed, you can see that Zambia has got problems, mostly in the game against Guinea. Guinea noticed that Sikombe was the one who was dictating play for Zambia, and they tried to close him down, and it was very difficult, to say the truth, the first half, and up to maybe the 70th minute when Guinea went in front. That's when we started finding a little bit of spaces and trying to play. So going into the Morocco game, I think we need to work on our attacking force. And news coming from camp is Zakaria Chilongo is a doubt. He's got a minor injury with Bruce Zakaria. But I hope they'll be fit for Morocco.
But before we go much into the Morocco game, which is being played tomorrow, for our viewers, you are able to take part in the show by giving us your view in terms of the game that is being played tomorrow. That's Zambia against Morocco. What's your prediction results? But before I let the gentlemen here discuss more on that game, let's just take a look on the team doctor, George Pri, as he was giving an update in terms of the injuries that we have for tomorrow's game. If we can just have this clip.
We have just finished doing our COVID testing, and this is in preparation for the quarterfinal against Morocco on Sunday. So far, we are doing fine, and we expect the results to come out tomorrow morning. With regards to the injuries, we only have 2 injuries. That is Bruce Musakanya, who sprained a muscle. He's undergoing treatment. We expect him to be fit in the next 3 days, so he might miss out on this one. But the other one, who is Zakaria Chilongoshi, sustained a slight knock. We are working on him and he should be ready for the next match. The rest of the players are fit for playing.
Uncle Rapson, let's look at the game tomorrow. We've had an update, like Augustine said earlier. We've got a couple of minor injuries. That's Zakaria Chilongoshi and Bruce Msakanya. But we've seen Bruce Msakanya not taking part in much of the games that are being played. He's been used as a substitute. So I don't know. What's your prediction for tomorrow's game?
Well, before we even get to the prediction, I think let's begin by looking at Morocco itself. I think if my memory serves me right, we have met I think a total of 17 times, and we've won 6. Morocco has won 9, and we have drawn the other games. So and that spans back to 1973, way back. So that history shouldn't threaten anybody. But I think the current state of affairs, we should just focus on how are the two teams faring at the tournament. Who's the likely winner between the two? For me, when you look at the composition of our squad in camp, they'll cause an upset. Of course, we are going into this match as underdogs, and clearly from all the bookmakers around, it's all Morocco, because Morocco being defending champions, and they're coming into this tournament playing a team like Zambia that has a very, very bad goal scoring record. Very high chances that they are going to torment our defenders. But of course, thanks to Coach Micho and the technical bench for having a very, very solid defense up to this point. And when you look at the attacking options, like playing Clement Mulanche at right back, for me, that is a miss. It's solid, but that is a miss when it comes to the attacking options. The two flanks, the left and the right flank, they should be able to push up with speed and energy to come back. But when you look at Clement, probably the energy levels that he has, he's unable to push up and come back at the rate that we want the right back to do that. And for me, when we play an attacking team like Morocco, this is where whatever Mitchell has been doing in the team, for me, this is a game where he should have been planning to go a little bit defensive by playing twin defensive midfielders. That's what we have been doing, and probably that's what has been limiting our creativity when we are going up front. Yeah, in terms of the attacking options that we have. But it seems that formula works for him. But our strikers, if they remain blunt and forget to finish off, probably we will be playing extra time. And remember, these quarterfinals, I think, if I'm not mistaken, CAF announced that there will be VAR now from this stage up to the finals. So though there will be nothing like flukes, teams scoring flukes and going away with offsides. So there will be the fourth assistant referee, a VAR referee, that will be managing the process to make sure that every goal is legit. But when it comes to the actual game against Morocco, I think we should be able to be very, very quick on the ball, because we have been very slow on the build-up. But if you've watched Morocco a couple of times, Morocco, they have players that can run. And if they are going to run at us, remember, we are using a lot of experience at the back, the edge, and a lot of experience. But if you are going to meet a team that has got very, very quick wingers and very, very attacking players, we will have a very, very difficult match to play tomorrow. And my prediction, being a citizen of this country, I will go for probably a scoring draw.
Scoring for us again.
Very, very difficult. He's been a very, very good player in this tournament, and we can't take anything away from that. He's been very, very outstanding. He's played his game right. He's been man of the match once, and I think for me, we just need to be, if Muba can wake up on the right side of his footballing life, and he understands that the whole country is looking forward to him making a difference in that game, we should be able to be very, very effective. And for me, it's sad to say the game, if we are going to defend the game and our strikers are not scoring, we will get into extra time, and probably if we can manage to maintain that, I think we should be able to beat Morocco when we go into extra time.
Augustine, are we seeing Spencer Saud to start in this game?
I think if I was Mitchell, I think that's a decision I can make. Try and change the front three a bit. Try and start. I would go with Amit Chamende, Spencer Sautu, and Moses Piri rather than Emmanuel Chawula, because you know teams, the North African sides, they are very, very dominant in position, and they will try to bully our strikers. I think we need quick players to try and attack them, because if we try and play with Emmanuel Chawula, who's always playing with back to go, I think it will be very, very difficult for Zambia, because we will not have that opportunity and luxury to try and play balls into him to keep, because those guys are very physical. Try and play balls in behind so that we can try and stretch their back line. I think that's the only chance we can try and go with in this game. If we try and play the slow kind of game we've been playing, it's very, very easy for the North African sides. They are very well drilled, you know. Every time when they lose possession, they get back into their shape and try and frustrate you. So if we're going to play slow build up like we do to try and outwit the North African side, it will be very, very difficult. But I always believe it if we play balls in behind, because most of the times North African side, they play a very high line. Balls in behind will be the only way we can try and beat their back line. Because if you Morocco, you saw the way they played in the edition which they hosted the CHAN. They were beating teams left, right, and center. They were scoring goals. They are a very, very scoring side. And in this team, they have got their captain El Kabi, who was the top scorer in the last edition when he scored 9 goals. He's still there, and he's always going to be a threat with Sofiane Rahimi, who is the top scorer currently for Morocco at the CHAN. It's going to be an interesting encounter, and it promises goals, because Morocco are a scoring side. So now it's.
But defensively, we are very good as well.
Yes, defensively we are very good. So one has to give.
Let's just pick this goal. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Thank you. How are you?
We are fine, sir. Your name and where you are calling us from?
This is Mr. Nyirenda calling you from.
Oh, you can go ahead with your contribution, Mr. Nyirenda.
Sure. Yeah, I watched the game between Zambia and the Namibia. The guys, they played very well despite what I saw. There were 2 villas to score, which disturbed the entire team. I think everyone wanted to score. They couldn't even. The coordination was better, but the way I saw it, they had the 2 villas for the goal. So if our coach could do a trick train that mentally, because if we go with Morocco, you see that team, the Northwest and North teams, it's a big problem with that.
Okay.
So that's what I saw. When you watched the Zambia versus the Guinea, it was almost the same. So they need to be built up for mentally, in fact, just to go ahead so that we can win Morocco.
So what's your prediction score for tomorrow's game?
Definitely, I'm a Zambian. I'll go for 2-0.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Nyirenda.
Thank you.
Augustine, he's opting for whatever you are giving. You say we need more lethal in terms of going forward. And I heard Angorapson, you got shocked the time you said, Augustine said something to go with a different front line.
I've always had a problem with Moses Piri. You know, Moses Piri has had his own chances, a very fair share of chances. And when you look at what contribution he's been giving back home at Zanaco and the energy level that he is putting in at the national team, it's probably a very, very unexpected and very, very average, actually, because at his club, he's very lethal. I have watched him a couple of times. And to see a couple of chances that he's had at the national team and his contribution to the team, he's probably in the same realm with Kelvin Muanga Kampamba. Same level of energy, and when you are meeting a team like Morocco, which is fast, they are physically fit, and they are able to run, the game they play is a very, very fast game. But the way we have been building up from the back and the speed of the Moroccan team.
Let's just pick this score. Hello?
Hello.
Hello, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
We are fine. How are you? Your name and where you are calling us from?
Now Michael and let me know from Cap.
Oh, well, you can go ahead with your contribution, Mr. Michael.
Okay, yeah, Paula was on the Navanamika. Okay, Timo, it is a we know, but if you're to my Ella, so to know to acquire to a coach of the Wabumberampo, I got to finish it to lay some Pomanavar Molo.
Okay.
Because we are Morocco, the coach of Aquete is very much experienced. And the Muntu is Zambia and Doko up there for. So, Takwat Kwamo Kubonja, Formula Imoi, never like a soup. And Katango Kueva, Tuarusa. I'm a passage, Naya Tale, Tabaleva, Talevaculate. I'm a Kuma passage, Pamin Dita. The Kulebu coordinated Yama passage in Italy. Organized in a win, whatever Pola. Or not take a Pola, say what is the Mushi Vomole, the Balan Mamania, and then Yamagos, Namareta Moses Spirit. Moses Spirit, what Damachan says, to a video Huina and Bona, Tepona, Uma Droya, to a English Uma, to a winner. But if Moses Spirit, what is the when you go for the stereo in the as a striker ngawangira munani kane kwingi jeto tulekwa mago de kwambo pikata kumutwao tulekwa gonga bola taifire ulimwe chini kuya wina bola mumu beta wa umasipai kata beta dani wa kwa umina bunga so itile kwa batakoba bola ya mairo itaje kwa kwambo pange nzamusha tushenga twata my goal
Vagabanda.
That was the best way to defend is to attack. Nga mwanyita again mwakonkanya kukuta attack not mwanyita mwabadila yakula tuteka munu mataile kwa otherwise ngatinga bombela kama passes na kuntanti mu box hivi kuntanti kuno mata kulikotana sana problem but paka ifya kutwala mabola mu box abali mu box na bene ifya finishing pass kwa twata go every day abombela wakutana sana chini
okay
wa Morocco timu ya kweva twambye kubonjeza mushisha we are saying open mind to say we are winning. It's a very experienced team. All of my love to what is going to be there. My love to Badia. Nabami Ingita, Tapo Jamba no Benda. Don't why to Kubadi Shapo. Nobody get up on a Yimbi. Not no Pampola Fenda and Kulaba Tapi attack. Going up.
Okay, thank you very much. Uncle Robson, a quick one. Let's do a quick one on this one so that we look at other things.
You see, for those that couldn't hear what Mr. Kabanda was saying, his main concern, he spoke in Bemba. Those that don't understand Bemba, he's basically talking about our build-up from the back and the midfield. The worst case that he's concerned about is creativity from the mid going into the final third. And what the guys up front are able to do in order for them to convert those chances into goal. That is his major concern, and he thinks if we make those changes and all that, we are going to make a difference. He's absolutely right. He's on point. That's the type of football we've been playing, very defensive in nature. The number of complete passes in midfield. I saw our very own Godin, the number of games he has played.
20.
He's been in those are misplaced resources in the team, and those are some of the things that we shouldn't even be thinking about if we are to attack and beat Morocco tomorrow. We should be very, very mindful on the creativity of our midfield. And if it's Emmanuel, he should not be a striker who is always facing his goal and fading to 10 and facing the goalkeeper. He's always playing back. He's very lethal when he faces the goal. He's got a very hard shot actually. He likes shooting from outside the box, which is a very, very good attribute from him. But in tomorrow's match, I saw those defenders from Morocco. They are huge. They are tall and huge. And those, they just require killer passes from the midfield. If you are going to be physical against them, we can't achieve anything with those guys. You just have to be sharp, smart, and take your chances and play in the spaces with precise accuracy.
So, Uncle Robson, for you, you still stick with the same attacking front that we've been using for these games?
No. I have a different opinion. For me, I would probably say Paul and Pokatema and Kelvin Kapombo. They should start as defensive midfielders. Then in terms of creativity, let Spencer start.
Okay.
Let Spencer start. Amiti, Skombe, and probably on the right we have no choice but to put our way on Kelvin Kambamba. He might wake up on the right side of football and just surprise you. But I think for me the major difference is South to make a huge difference. Amiti, he's a very, very consistent player. He's able to make a difference and just proceed and just do what they need to do. Okay. I think for me those are the only things that I would like to see. Well, by the way, one other thing that I would like to see as well is on the flanks. I know those minor knocks that the doctor was talking about are very minor. Those are mind games that every team wants to play to show the other team that we are going to be very vulnerable. But when it comes to the team sheet on the final day, the whole squad is fit and you have a full selection of players. For me, if we can start Zach, and because of the nature of the game of this high-scoring Morocco, I think we need the services of Benedict, because Benedict Chepe, he can go up and down. In a very, very short space, you see him crossing. Within a very, very small space of time, you see him back in his position and he's defending. But again, at the same time, if you are going to play a very cautious game and you just want to defend, Clement will use Clement on the right back.
I think I'll support Uncle Rapson's decision to start with Chepesha. I think it will give us the right balance to start with Benedict Chepesha at the right and Zakaria Chongosh at the left, because those guys will give us an attacking outlet. Most of the time you see Kelvin Kampamba Mwanga trying to play narrow, play close to the striker. Him and Zikombe always go and play close to the striker. Those two will give us the width. I think it's the only choice that we can go out with. And the Emmanuel Chawul, I think we need to show him that there's enough competition in the team and start him on the bench.
Uncle Rapson, Augustine is with you and
well, he's got the right to an opinion, and I think for me, I would liken Chawula to Ozil in the French national team, and I'll end it there. If you know what Ozil does at the French national team and what Chawula does, those are players that probably will require a myriad of chances for them to convert one. But when they are playing, their contribution and their energy levels, sometimes it's the energy level that a striker has to toss around the defenders. You can have poor finishing, yes, but if you are going to make the defenders work, you are creating room for the other players to actually exploit those spaces, because you are terrorizing the defenders.
But basically, as a defender, your first job is to defend. And as a striker, your first job is to score. And Emmanuel Chawula is not doing that at the moment. When you find Emmanuel Chawula scored, just know he missed 10 chances. That's when he scored.
Anyway, away from that, let's look at
that playing today.
Yes. let's look at this, Uncle Rapson. We had midweek games and we saw NAPSA being beaten by Kawa Warriors, and after that game we saw their coach Muhammad Fati appealing to the Football Association of Zambia, wanting his team to be given a 1-week break. Let's look at this break and let's put it in general. Let's not just put it at NAPSA. Is this needed?
No, it's not. I would say no, it's not needed, because the teams they are playing against are in the same league. Of course, they've had a couple of international outings where they can say we have traveled back and forth and, you know, we are okay, we are on course and everything else. But I think for me, what the country, what FAS needs to do is just to rearrange the calendar. Why do I say so? You find that there's a game, before I focus on that game, there's a game where it was a sorry sight to watch. Green Eagles there versus Red Arrows. We'll talk about it. The focus is on the NAPSA Stars game, but that game was played in a swimming pool, and football was not being played.
Let's just speak this Kwang Rapson. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Good afternoon, sir.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm calling from Mansa District.
Oh, how is Mansa?
Fine. I want to make a contribution on the Zambia national team.
Oh, okay. You can go ahead, sir.
From what I have observed, the problem we are having as a team, if you look at the past games, those midfielders are not creating chances. I don't know why we keep on using Chabura. Chabura is sitting as a striker. He's not making movements like what Kumbe is doing. When you look at the way Morocco are playing, Morocco they are creating chances. So, me I will talk about the Morocco winning to be 70% to 30%. Then the other thing is, why do you keep on using two holding midfielders? Why do you keep on using two holding midfielders? Because when the game is tough, you expect those holding midfielders not to be moving. But to my surprise, the coach wants to build in the same system. Sometimes when things are tough, you make changes. So me, I would love Saudi to start the game. Then if you look at Kampamba is a winger. We know him as a winger. But why is Kampamba playing in the central midfield? So there are a lot of errors that the coach is making. If those errors are worked on, believe you me, we can beat Morocco. But if you think currently, we are playing Morocco for 5.
Okay, thank you very much, sir.
Okay, thanks.
Clearly, Chavula is not a favorite at the moment.
At the moment. And I'm going to you were saying.
Yeah. Okay, like the caller has rightly put it, he's got an opinion which we will not dwell on. But I think we covered quite a couple of things he has talked about, and we will not go back and forth and start it. But I think his analysis of football is actually on point.
On point, yeah.
We are going to this match 70-30. Probably he should just go for the 80-20 rule. 20% chances of Zambia going through, because Morocco is doing everything right. And like he has said, from game one, we are playing two defensive midfielders in every game. But suffice to say that we've discussed that, and we were discussing the NAPSA Stars. I covered that match. I was in the stadium on that day when NAPSA Stars met Cabo Warriors on Wednesday, and everything was going well for NAPSA Stars. They scored a very, very wonderful goal. Then I think that was in less than 3 minutes of kickoff, if I'm not mistaken. Less than 5 minutes. Very nice score. They started playing, and they started with a very, very different squad. Captain Dixon Chapa was on the bench 90 minutes. And now an incoming captain, Ojambo, was in defense, and he was wearing a band right back. They were using Gift Zulu. Lawrence was on the left. Their midfield. I think NAPSA Stars is making too many experiments. Too many experiments. I was in that stadium. They started playing the match. They did all they could. When Cabo Warriors decided to bring in Bereki and Agakurubero Machiaba, probably, and if I'm not mistaken, Aka's final game for Cabo Warriors might be today. I had an opportunity of speaking to one of the officials at Lusaka Dynamos, and it's almost a done deal. He's joining Cabo Warriors. He's joining Lusaka Dynamos.
Aka extended his contract. Was it yesterday? He signed a 3-year deal. With
yeah, I think I saw that.
That's an offer. That's an offer.
I think I think I understand what Angorap's saying. What he's saying. Cabo Warriors are trying to put a price tag.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Okay, but those administrative issues are not for us to discuss. But clearly, what they are trying to do is Aka's contract is coming to an end, and if they let him go when it ends on the 31st, it means he's going to be a free agent.
A free agent, yeah.
So they are trying to make sure that they put a cap. But you know how teams are. The law requires that the teams that want to get a new player, they have 6 months before the end of the contract. They can open discussions with the player. Before 6 months, you are not supposed to talk to any player that is having a valid contract with any other team. But that story between Lusaka Dynamos and Aka and Cabo Warriors has been neither here nor there for quite a lengthy time. And for me, what I know, or probably it's speculation, is that he already worked on a pre-signed contract at Lusaka Dynamos, and we will see that in the coming week. But if there was a contract that came through yesterday, probably discussions are still ongoing. But my point is, when the substitute was made, Cabo Warriors made a double substitution. Jimmy Njovu came in and Akakurubero Machiaba came in. When these two started playing, I could see NAPSA Stars defending very deep. And even the goal they scored, it came from Jimmy. Jimmy was the one who assisted Aka. And it was a very, very beautiful bicycle kick from Aka. And the pass came from Jimmy. 2 substitutions getting onto the pitch, tormenting the defenders. Ojambo, Luka, they were caught napping. The goal that was scored, the winning goal in the 89th minute, 88th minute or 89th minute,
Yeah, it's in the 88th.
was a very, very perfect goal. Very, very perfect goal for bookmakers. If I wish
It was meant for TV.
it was meant for TV. I watched that goal and I was like, oh, okay. And it really stunned everybody in the team at NAPSA Stars just went. The celebration was on point, and for me, NAPSA Stars has a lot of work to do. This is why probably that very game, in the back end of the management at NAPSA Stars, remember they had interviews the previous week for the first assistant coaches and everything else. Probably after they saw what Cabo Warriors did to them,
They opted for Chintu.
Chintu was sitting on the bench. Chintu was on the bench for Cabo Warriors and busy giving instructions. And you could see that there was pressure until they scored.
Corruption, we've got a call.
Augustine, under the call.
Hello, good afternoon. You are through to Camden TV off the pitch. Who is on the line?
This is Gabriel.
Gabriel, what's your contribution?
I'm calling you from Matero North.
From?
Matero North.
Okay, how's material this afternoon?
No, Matero is fine.
You can go on with your contribution.
Towards the game, we are supposed to have a question. One step, one.
Okay. Is your television set on? We are receiving terrible feedback.
I think we've lost that call. So
I was in that stadium and I watched that, and you know, Chintu Kambamba was probably issuing a lot of fierce instructions to the team. And you know, when they turned out to be winners on the day, then the following day they drove back to Kabwe and they parted they parted mutually with Kabwe Warriors, and hours later we saw him being unveiled at NAPSA Stars as the first assistant. They've beefed up the technical bench. For me, NAPSA Stars, if we can only play back the clip when they got their technical director, well, I think what I said on this show is exactly what is happening. They have tried to buy players, they are now buying coaches. And you see, they're expecting different results when they are doing everything the same way they do it. I'll give you a practical example. Look at a player who they bought this very season. What has happened to Timothy Otieno?
He's cancelled.
He's terminated his contract, he's gone. He came into the team given the chance to play. The guy is just but an average player. So this issue of anybody who has 2 legs and is running, you get and say, this guy can play for this club. I think that should come to an end. We've got a lot of good players. It's so disappointing to see Skaumbwe being released.
That was my point.
That was a blunder. You can't.
He was one of their best players last season. How do you release John Skaumbwe?
John Skaumbwe is the one who actually made that team, of course not as an individual, but he was amongst the pillars of the team last season to qualify for continental
Made
football.
them tick, doing all the donkey work for the side.
But look at how they have treated him. They keep bringing these players. They forget the players that made them to get to this status where they are now. He went and joined Indeni is it Indeni Football
Yes,
Club? As a free agent. And you know what it is to go as a free agent? It's very disappointing to a player. Your morale is low, and I'm only hoping that at Indeni Football Club he can revive his career and just start ticking again.
Augustine.
But they really have a lot of work to do as NAPSA Stars. The coming in of Chintuya, they were discussing injuries. Maybe he's a very good physical trainer. He will condition the players. It was Fati's complaint. You mentioned, I think you were asking about him asking for 1 week off. Fati's complaint is that he's got 10 first team players who are injured.
Yeah.
But the point is, you are allowed to register about 35 players. If 10 first team players are injured, where are the other 20? 25 players.
And Napsa Stars have got a very good youth team. They can promote young
Exactly.
there.
This is where Jimmy came from.
Yes, Jimmy and
the high scoring Jimmy. He's a very small young man. He's been scoring game after game from the youth team.
He's a real talent.
Very real talent. And for me, really, it's just a matter of arranging their backroom stuff. And before too long from now, you will come and sit here and discuss the same thing. There will be some changes there.
Augustine, Angorapson earlier talked of how bad the pitch was between Green Eagles against Red Arrows, where we saw Green Eagles beating.
Ask him to tell us the results.
Yes. Augustine, tell us the results of that game.
Green Eagles were so powerful for Red Arrows, beating them by 2-0. You've seen Green Eagles, they have had a bad start to the season, but you can see they're slowly climbing up the table. They are being solid. Their performances, Green Eagles, are not as good as someone would like. Their football is not as pretty as certain teams like Power Dynamos, but you can see they are now grinding out results. They need to climb up the table. Red Arrows on the other side, they are a free fall. It's been a topsy-turvy season for.
I like the English you are using. I like the English you are using. It's a free fall.
Yeah.
And you know the team that beat them. The last time Green Eagles won a league match was in November last year. And to find a team that is so fortunate to make them win for the first time in about 2 months, just know the problems there.
Would you blame the pitch?
No. That's not. I think the only concern I have is the referee, the match officials. I think for the safety of the players, I think to me, it's not about Red Arrows, it's not about Green Eagles, but the safety of the players is something which should come first. And it's a disappointment that the match officials allowed the game to go on in those conditions. I think those conditions were horrible. It wasn't good for a football match. And going back to the game, Red Arrows started brightly. They even hit the upright through Joseph Lungu, but Green Eagles stood firm, weathered the storm and got a goal just towards the end of this first half through Bozon Mutale. At the first goal through Bozon Mutale towards the end of the first half, and in the second half now the pitch was unplayable. It was all about now long balls. You cannot pass the ball, and Red Arrows, unfortunately, Elvis Bisson tried to play a back pass to his goalkeeper Mugabe, which was stuck on the pitch, and former player Anos Tembo pounced on it, biting in the arm that used to feed him, the former team Red Arrows. Yes, he just had to have the final say and kill off Red Arrows. During the game, there was a James Shamanga goal which has been disallowed. It's been unfortunate this season. He has had 2 goals being disallowed at Ghana and at
but he also misses penalties.
Yeah, it does that. And if you look at Red Arrows, I think they need to lift their form as soon as possible, because it's not going good for Red Arrows. They are close to relegation than they are to the continental places.
If before you continue, guys, if we can just have the table for the league, the Super League table, so that maybe people can get to.
So you can see Red Arrows are just next to their visitors today in Numana Radiance. They're 11 points and they have played the same number of games. They are close to that red dotted line where Napsa Stars, Green Buffaloes, Young Green Eagles and Kicho United are occupying at the moment. And every time when you go into those relegation places, it's always very, very difficult to come out. I think what Red Arrows needs to do is to climb up the table, win 2-3 games, get your confidence back, and start pushing for a top half finish rather than playing in the bottom half. And what this does is gives pressure to Chisimbe and his technical staff. I think now you would start thinking the pressure is on now. You've seen in England Frank Lampard being sacked because of poor results. It can happen to Chisimbe. He's a club legend, but he's not untouchable. They can be stacked, but what the club has not done, I feel, they haven't backed the team in the transfer market. I feel they could have gone for top quality players to try and beef up Red Arrows. You can see that the transfer, they have been poor in the transfer market.
Before you proceed, Augustine, you see, it all goes to the administration of the team. The moment, the day you decided to drop 11 senior players, were they 11 or 10? 11 senior players. You completely get rid of them. You should have had a plan of bringing other players. Here we are now. We're 14 games down the season. You are still discussing they didn't do well in the transfer market. They only did well in the firing market.
Yes.
You need to improve.
And you can see from the players that were released from Red Arrows, and you can see Jimmy Tsenga was again released at Kawe Warriors. So it's not that those players have had any major impact in terms of the results at Red Arrows, because they have gone to other clubs and failed to perform as well. So probably it's not about those players, it's about how the club is transfer policy.
Let's go to the game today. Let's go to the game today.
Due to time, let's look at the fixtures that are here that we have today. We've got the first one. We've got Green Eagles, who is playing ZAMBIA'S Stars at Independence Stadium. A quick one, Ango Rapson, on this one. A ZAMBIA'S Stars that needs a break for a week.
I can only wish Muhammad Fatih and the ZAMBIA'S Stars all the best in this afternoon's match. Green Eagles is on the upswing, while the ZAMBIA'S Stars is slowly sinking down, and you know where you start competing in the last 4 positions in the red zone is very, very, very dangerous for the coach and the team. A team of ZAMBIA'S caliber who are still representing the country at that level, they should be doing better by now. You know, even settling down in the Premier League, you can only settle down after some time. But if you ask me, it's a very, very tough call. The players' morale is down. The coming of Chintu Kampamba, of course, you can say it's on the positive side to the players. But remember that he's found people working there. And he goes straight to become the first assistant coach. And now those assistant coaches who are sitting on the technical bench, of course they have a certain level of influence in the players. So the motivation might go either way. It will be either this way or that way. And we can only wish them well. We've got a call on the line.
Ango Rapson,
hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, thank you.
May I know who's calling and where you are calling us from?
This is James calling from Choma.
How is Choma this afternoon?
Choma is okay.
You need to start moving to Independence Stadium, eh? Are you on your way to Independence Stadium?
No fans allowed.
No, sir, there are no fans allowed at the pitch.
I thought, all right, okay, cool. What's your contribution, sir?
My contribution is on the off-the-pitch question that says, what does Zambia's chances against Morocco?
Oh, okay.
Please go ahead.
Yes, I think looking at the way Zambia has been playing, we don't stand a good chance. We haven't been, our strikers haven't been clinical when it comes to finishing. And there's a lot of talk concerning Spencer, the game changer, that he should never been, he should not be given an opportunity to start the game. I feel it's a good thing if the game changer coming on as a substitute, but let him be given the opportunity to start. It's better we score first than coming from behind, because if we leave quality and good players on the bench thinking when we are down 2-0 and then you come and change the game, I feel we are not playing our cards quite well.
Okay, thank you very much for that contribution.
Thank you, sir.
What's your take on Green Eagles and ZAMBIA'S Stars in your town?
He's gone. So let's look at due to time. Let's do a quick one here. We've got the next game, that's Indeni versus Forest Rangers, and we've got Kitwe United versus Zanaco, Ngwazi versus Judicon. And for me, again, the bigger game is Power Dynamos versus Green Buffaloes. Augustine?
I think it's a very, very tight match. The first game Power Dynamos is playing in 2021. They haven't played a game in 2021 because they've said they've contributed a lot of players to the national team. I don't know what has changed now. They have decided to take on GBFC. Justin Chinama was tasked to change the fortunes of Green Buffaloes, but he has had a 1 win and 1 lose in his first 2 games. It's going to be tight. I think GBFC will go in as favorites because they have had games. They have played some games this season. This year, Power Dynamos haven't been active, so it will be difficult for Power Dynamos to regain their rhythm in this match. And I foresee a 2-1 win for GBFC.
We've got Prison Lepers versus Kawe Warriors, and we've got Red Arrows versus Lumwana Radiance, which Augustine you already talked of. And Rapson, we've got the bigger one, Jesco United versus Lusaka Dynamos, which is being played at the Levi Manawasa Stadium.
Well, the biggest game of the weekend for me is Prison Leopards and Kawe Warriors. That's the biggest game of the weekend, in my opinion. And when you ask me about Kawe Warriors and Lusaka Dynamos, it's an issue of 2 giants. The other giant has a lot of money. Probably they're trying to put up a team in place together. I have seen Lusaka Dynamos, and probably they will be donning their new kit today, and they will be donning their new kit, and the way they've been playing, I think they are an improving team every game. And Zesco United has an upper hand because of history, but I think Lusaka Dynamos will not come back without anything. And for me, really, it's Lusaka Dynamos in this match. They will be able to get something out of the game. I predict a 1-1 draw.
Sunday, tomorrow, we've got Ngana, who is hosting Young Green Eagles. Ango Robson will give this one to you.
No, give. I think Ghana Football Club, the biggest problem I have with this team is consistency is not there, and we are struggling. And you know, as a big team in this country, I think we have our downfall, and not too long from now we'll start rising up. And this particular one, I've watched Young Green Eagles. That's a very tricky side, very tricky side. They have got players that can do a lot of damage to the teams. They are fast and young, and meeting a disorganized Ghana Football Club. This is a time when every team wants to play Ghana Football Club, and everybody else can get points away from Ghana. But this particular one, it will be live on TV. We are going to watch, and probably Ghana will have. I feel for the coach, Kelvin Kaindu, and you know, he hasn't had his fortunes were going well for him this particular season from the time he joined, and that particular match, probably because my heart is there, I would say Nkana is going to carry them.
But just a bit on the Nkana game, we've seen them sign Chimwemwe from Butekon. He's coming as a right back. I'm sure he will replace the departed Gift Zulu. They've signed Emmanuel Mwinde from Butekon as well. He's going to give them that much needed attack. He's going to give them a lot of option, and we've seen Akakuruwero extend his contract at Kawa Warriors 3 years. And Kawa Warriors yesterday made a lot of news by signing Martin Kayuwa from Power Dynamos and Smart Lungu from Napsa Stars, and we have seen rumors Zesco United being linked to Stephen Mutama of Nkwazi. We just wait and see how the transfer window progresses towards the end.
Let's take a quick one on Ango Robson's favorite league, the First Eden University National League. These are the previous results on the games that were being played last week. We've got Maite, which managed to beat Kaisa by 1-0. We've got Changa Rangers, who was beaten by Kansenshi Dynamos. We've got Chambeshi, who drew against National Assembly. City of Lusaka beating Zesco Malait by 1-0. Kongola Blades beating Ango Robson's team by 4-1. Gomes FC beating Livingston Paris by 1-0. And Mpulungu Hebe drawing against Kafue Celtics. And we have Zesco Shockers, who we are beaten by Police College by 2-1. If we can just have the First Eden table to see how the teams are faring, so that maybe it will be easy for the gentlemen here to give. That's how the first table is.
I think it's interesting to see how Kansashi Dynamos have been performing in the league. 14 games, and they have got 7 wins and 7 draws. They haven't been beaten so far. It's interesting to see how Kafue Celtic will end the season. Pushing for those Barclays Cup positions. I think favorites are Kansashi Dynamos and Kongola Blades, and you would see National Assembly on the wrong side of the table fighting relegation. Hope they push up the table as well.
Ango Robson, what's your take on the table?
Kansashi Dynamos mean business, and it's very shocking to see where Kafue Celtic is now. They started very well, and I think it's an issue of where boys are being separated from men. You can see the rise of Mchanga Rangers on the log. Konkola Blades claiming their rightful position there. Chambishi, probably after many years of being absent in the Super League, are also eyeing those particular spots. But I think Kafue Celtic will bounce back and just have City of Lusaka drop back there. But kudos to Kansashi Dynamos. From the time they got dropped, they have been very consistent. It's the only team that hasn't lost a match in the Eden University, and playing 14 and winning 7 and drawing 7 is a very huge achievement for the coach, and they should just start converting those draws into wins, and they will be runaway league leaders.
Okay, so like you said earlier, maybe just a quick one before we look at the CHAN games that are being played today. We've got these are the Eden games that are being played today. We've got Kafue Celtics, who are playing Zesco Shockers, Kansenshi Dynamos versus Chambeshi, Kongola Blades versus Trident, National Assembly versus Mpulungu Hebe. And tomorrow, the 31st of January, we've got Kashikishi Warriors who are hosting Livingstone Pirates, Kaisa versus Nchanga Rangers, Muza versus City of Lusaka, Police College versus Gomes, and Descoma Light Rangers versus Maite. Ango Rapson, we've got 10 games today that are being played. We've got the first game which is starting. Let me not lie on the timings because these timings are very. It's 18. Yeah, there is the first game which is being played at 18. That's Mali against Congo.
Well, Mali is one of the teams that actually won 2 group games and drawing one. They ended the groups on 7 points, and they are meeting Congo. And this particular game, for me, it's a situation where Mali has been very, very consistent. They've stamped their authority on the tournament, and getting into this match would have gone a little bit further. We would have gone into details in this particular match, but due to time, I think Mali has showed everybody at the tournament that they really mean business this particular tournament. And you know, they were second to Congo DR in 2016 in the finals, and this time around, Congo, their opponents have never reached this stage. So for them, even if they bow down and go back home at this point, it's a huge achievement. They've never been to the quarterfinals before. So for me, Mali is going to carry the day today.
We've got the last game, Augustine, which is being played at 21. That's DR Congo versus Cameroon.
I think it's DR Congo against the host. DR Congo winning the first edition of the CHAN. I think it's going to be tricky. They have had the comeback in one of the games. They salvaged a point very, very late on. Cameroon started very well, beating Zimbabwe, and then they had at least poor second show. Yeah, I think the second showing was very, very poor.
Including the third one.
And the third one was a poor game. I fancy Congo because Congo look to be a force at this tournament. They've got quick wingers who are providing balls into the air, and Cameroon haven't looked to have a very, very solid defense in this tournament, and I feel this might just be the end of the road for the hosts.
In addition to what Augustine has said, you know, they are welcoming back their first team choice goalkeeper, Le, who had tested positive of COVID. He's been cleared to play in today's match. They are still missing their head coach due to the same COVID, and hopefully he's been training with the team and he's been in isolation, and they are welcoming 3 players back in the team. And like Augustine has said, it's going to be a very, very tough call for the home team. This could be the end of the road for Cameroon. When you look at how Congo DR has been performing, and even the point they salvaged in the last game, it was purely a lot of effort from the team. I predict a 2-1 win for DRC.
A quick fixture in the EPL, the games that are being played today. There is Everton, which is starting at 14:30. Everton facing Newcastle. Crystal Palace versus Wolves. Manchester City having Sheffield United, the Sheffield team that gave Manu a hell of a game. And we've got West Brom versus Fulham, and then we've got the bigger game for today for me, which is Arsenal against Manu. That's at 19:30, and the last game is at 22. That's Southampton versus Aston Villa. Ango Rapson, a quick one on this one, a quick one on the Arsenal Manu game.
Well, it's a team that Man United, it's a team that has been very, very positive in the past, and we've seen a lot of credit going to the coach and the team, but a shocking result against Sheffield United that's probably taken a very, very big setback in the back room. And I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and his player rotation, he needs to change his strategy, because he rotated quite a lot of players in that game, and to lose to Sheffield United wasn't very, very good enough, because Sheffield United was recording their second victory in the league. And tonight's game against Arsenal should be a turning point for Man United again. My prediction is that Arsenal is going to go down tonight.
Justin, your last remarks.
I think it's been a wonderful show. Thanks to the viewers who tuned in, and a big thanks to the entire production team for making this possible. I think my message is to Michu. He has got 28 players. He should not limit his selection to 15. I think if we need to change it, we have to change. He has got Harrison Salah, the creative players. I think he needs to use everyone at the tournament.
Well, all the best to the national team tomorrow. The country is behind you, and we wish you nothing but the best. Whatever Micho is going to do, please know that the shoulders of this country are relying on those 28 players and the technical bench. And we can only wish you all the best, and make sure that you fly that flag high. Wearing that shirt means a lot to the players, and the players have to up their game and just represent the country well.
Anyway, Uncle Robson has done most of the conclusion. From me, Amos, and the rest of the entire production team, not forgetting Madam Precious Sakaleji, who is very upset today due to the loss that we had against Sheffield United, and Isaac upstairs, who is celebrating over our loss. We say bye-bye, see you next week, same time, same place. We are out.